Hello, my name is SV Dagan, and this is a story which is called Revenge is Sweet. Jeff and Marjorie were a couple that had been married for 25 years. Jeff is an accountant and Marjorie is a teaching assistant, and they were very happily married until one day new neighbours moved in next door to them. Jonathan and his wife Sylvia enjoyed sexual games, sexual pleasures involving orgies with not just human beings, but let's just say often animals were brought in for fun. But Jeff and Marjorie were down to earth, prudish couple who enjoyed each other's company. They enjoyed great conversations. Their sexual connection was forever bonded and extremely stimulating for the both of them. Jonathan turned up with Sylvia one day and they were say, "Hi, we're from next door. We just moved in. We'd like to make your acquaintance and maybe invite you around for a meal. Would that interest you?" And because Jeff and Marjorie not like to disappoint people, they agreed to it. So they went around to their home the following weekend for the party. And Sylvia is dressed in a very low-cut, busty, black and red corset. And so were her other female guests. Jonathan was dressed like a court jester, and all the others were dressed the same. It's like encountering drones with no brain cell between them. They have to be charged, connected, tuned in, and programmed what to do. And when Jeff and Marjorie encountered the group, they were shocked and they left straight away. I don't want to give their opinion because obviously it would not be valued or seen as a good enough reason to depart. And a week went by and all of a sudden Sylvia turned up and apologised for startling the both of them and invited Marjorie around for a cup of tea, which Marjorie, of course, didn't want to disappoint her or be rude. Accepted. 3 days later, Marjorie woke up and found that she had, let's just say, a few bite marks on her body, mainly her breasts, that were not there before and were not there because of what Jeffrey done. And it bothered Marjorie, but she didn't want to tell Jeffrey what to do. And she was worried about it, concerned about it, and it was playing a lot on her mind because not only were her breasts bitten, but her buttocks as well. And she felt she had been violated. So she has an elderly aunt, still alive, believe it or not, who's 93 years old and has encountered people like this before when she was younger. So Marjorie said to Jeff she wanted to go away for a couple of days to see her aunt Poppy. Jeff agreed because he wanted to do some decorating. That's what people normally do in England when they take a holiday. They do decorating. So she went and saw her aunt Poppy and explained what happened to Poppy, what happened to her, about being bitten and bite marks on her breasts and her buttocks. And Poppy had done a circle. She's a witch. And she established that someone had placed a demon on Marjorie. And it was a demon that has placed Marjorie into a deep trance when she was sleeping. And her spirit and her body was taken to this orgy of next door sexual depravity pleasures. and she was violated by more than one participant, male and female, which horrified Marjorie, and said to Poppy, "Can you help me?" And Poppy gleamed. She smiled. Imagine an evil witch crouching on her knees with a 9-inch blade in her hand and saying, "Yeah, I can remove it. Trust your Aunt Poppy." Ho, 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 ho. So, a subtle way of describing how Poppy felt. And so Poppy suggested that Marjorie and Jonathan go away for a week, and Poppy comes down and stays at the home, babysits our home, which they all agreed. Well, they all left on a Friday. Poppy turned up on a Friday, and it was a Saturday evening, and Sylvia popped in, not realising that Jeff and Marjorie had gone away for a week. "Oh, hello. Sorry, I'm looking for Marjorie and Jeff." "Oh, they're not here. They've gone away for a week. Marjorie's Auntie Poppy. I'm babysitting the house." "Really? How interesting." Marjorie replied, "Yes, it is interesting. I understand you're into orgies. You'd like it with more than one individual." Sylvia kind of, her tongue fell out of her mouth, so to speak, and her jaw dropped to the floor. And she said, "Yes." "Do you indulge yourself, Poppy?" And Poppy deviously laughed and said, "Of course. We have a dungeon downstairs. Did Marjorie or Jeff introduce you to it? Because if you're here for a while, maybe we can indulge each other's bodies together." And this intrigued Sylvia. She said, "Well, I'll be right back. I need to get my corset." And Poppy replied by saying, "That's okay. You don't need anything. We have it all downstairs." And so as Poppy she walked to the cellar door, because my many spirits tend to wander around. And as she opened the cellar door and put her hand in front for Poppy to Sylvia to go ahead, she tripped. She tumbled down to the cellar floor, holding her kneecap and saying, "Oh, I think I broke my leg. Can you go next door and get my husband, please?" With that, Poppy shut the door, but switched the light off first. Because the lights were off in the first place downstairs, but Poppy turned the lights on so Sylvia can see the steps to walk down on. She turned those lights off as well. About an hour later, Jonathan turned out looking for his wife, and he said, "Excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you, but have you seen my wife Sylvia?" First establishing who Poppy is. And Poppy replied by saying, "Yes. I have a problem with my radiator down in my cellar, and she's in the process of fixing it. But she's having problems. Do you know anything about radiators? Because I like to indulge in the black arts, but I can't do that with a cold cellar," which again intrigued Jonathan. So the same procedure with Jonathan as she did with Sylvia. Then Jonathan tumbled down the stairs and hit his head in the cellar and went silent for a while. Poppy bolted the door, sealed it, and went to make her favourite pie, which is cottage pie, and left those two in the cellar to their own demise. What Poppy had arranged was there was a few rats, roughly about 2 feet long rats, in the cellar, because Marjorie put them down there when Poppy arrived. And if you can picture this, it's totally dark, it's cold, and you're being bitten with something or something. You're not quite sure what it is. And the more you try to shake your hand and shake your legs to stop those things that are nipping you and biting you and scratching you, the more aggressive they become. And after a while, the screams from the two of them stopped. And the following Friday, when Marjorie and Jeff arrived back from holiday, there's a note on the kitchen table from Poppy. It said, "Problem's been solved. I decided to fix the radiator in your cellar, and I cleaned up everything." Jeff looked at Marjorie with confusion, but Marjorie knew exactly what Poppy had done. If you like my dark story, I am SV Dagan. Beware of your nightmares.